So one of the themes I'm trying to stress or encourage us to explore is the theme that you can't conditionally enter the unconditioned. If freedom is the goal, is your aspiration, the formless, the sacred, then you can't place conditions upon your entry into it. You can't stipulate your timing and, I have to wait until after this happens or when that happens. It really requires full-heartedness. Full-heartedness. And full-heartedness is something that we don't know how to abide in because we try to keep doing it with full mind instead of full heart. And when we do it with the mind, we find many alternatives that we'd rather have than entering unconditionally. We really hold to the belief that reality contains alternatives and that we have choices we can make within those alternatives when actually each moment has no alternative. There's no alternative to now. So what we do in order for there to be an alternative, we create a future in which we can then alter the situations of now and find our happiness of the past now in the future manipulation of circumstances, like turning up the heat because it's cold in the room. And so we're always off-center. We're always leaning into the future as the perfect solution to the present when the present itself has no solution. And that's placing conditions or alternatives upon the present. And full-heartedness is a very consuming phrase that really aligns us to the unconditioned. That alignment is called surrender. You simply drop any belief that there's an alternative to now. That's surrender. And I'll have much more to say about that in future Dharma talks, but I wanted to impart that. Here's an example. I was watching a television program on Vietnam veterans many years ago. And this one veteran had been badly scarred by fire in Vietnam. And he had gone through many operations to reconstruct his face in particular. And at one point, he looks into the mirror after having gone through a series of operations, and he looks into the mirror and he says, "I love this or I love nothing at all." That's full-heartedness, where there's no more alternative, scars and all. This is it. And that really does directly imply our psychic scars, the areas we just don't like about ourselves. It's this or it's nothing at all. We wait forever for the right person to show up so we can enter the unconditioned. There's no such thing. There's only wholeness, which means I love this or I love nothing at all. That is wholeness. It doesn't mean we don't have any scars. It's the way we represent what we are, not what we are in manifestation. Many of us are really here doing penance to line ourselves up for the right way we can enter. Another friend of mine was in a traffic jam. Two kids in the back seat who she was trying to get to school and was late. Dead stop in traffic. Kids arguing and bickering in the back seat. Her frustration and annoyance at being late and having other things to do that morning. She turned back to the kids to yell something at them. Instead, she faced forward and she says, "This is eternity. This is for eternity." Same thing, you see. It wasn't, "Damn, I'm going to be in this mess for eternity." That's an attitude. This is for eternity. This is eternity. Now it's wide open, isn't it? There's nothing wrong here. There's no argument. There's no resistance when this is eternity. Or I love this or nothing at all. The argument cease. It's the ceasing of the argument which is the end of conditions. And now we can enter. When I was small, very difficult for someone trying to put a thread through a needle. My mother could do it like nothing. And I was determined, and I would spend 5 minutes trying to get the thread through the needle. It was all frayed and bent and droopy, and I was holding it too far back, and it just didn't work. See, when we know what is expected of us, when we know how to work this thing so that we get what we want from it, I mean in its most absolute direction, then we drop the argument. Because I love this or nothing at all. And I realize that loving something else more than this will bend the thread so that it'll never get through the needle. So let us cease our quibbling. It has nothing to do with the past or how awful we've been or the forgiveness that we lack. That's the wrong direction. That's the equivocation. This is sitting forward, facing straight ahead, and dealing, opening, expanding to what that means to sit face forward. Someone came into for an interview with me at home, Seattle, and he appeared to be in some sort of stress, and so we worked at it. He says, "Well, you know, I really have wanted to be a monk, but I met somebody, and now I'm not sure whether I should be a monk or get married." And I said, "It doesn't make any difference. Whichever you choose, just show up for completely. Full-heartedness is the answer. It doesn't make a bit of difference if you're robed in a certain way. Whether you line your practice up with straight back, perfect posture, a perfect representation of form. Are you full-hearted? This is the question. It gets very easy, you see. It gets very easy. You're heading to a retreat but you have to go visit Aunt Mary and therefore be late for the retreat, then go visit Aunt Mary and don't go to the retreat, because the retreat requires full-heartedness. And you're already arriving differentiated, separated, divided. This is the one opportunity we have to lay it out there. To really release the need for a conditioned existence, a conditional existence. It's existence. That's all there is. If your existence is conditional, you've added those things. You've added those components. How can you add something? How can you thicken the thread and expect it to get through the needle? Existence is very light, empty, straightforward. Let us live that existence.